let me start sharing my screen. And yep. So today we have our second webinar with Leadfeeder. Last time we had our webinar with them regarding like how to use intent data for your cold outreach. And today we will talk about like 10 creative sales outreach strategies to book more meetings. So we will share our best practices and hopefully this will help you book more meetings as well. So today we will have me. My name is Willem and I'm a zero leader here at Reply. I'm working at Reply for like 4 years now. And we also have Thies from Leadfeeder. Thies, putting my back to you. So
thank you. Yeah, thanks for that, William. Yeah, so I'm Thies. I'm a business development manager for Leadfeeder. Basically, pretty on par with account executive, I would say. Been in sales for quite some years, but I've been at Leadfeeder for 2 to 3 years now. I've been kind of going through the ranks and kind of seen as a senior now into the sales team, but feels like I just joined. It's a lot of fun.
Oh, cool! Yeah, time flies. All right. So what we'll cover today and a few housekeeping things. Today we'll be talking about, as mentioned before, 10 creative outreach strategies, 5 from Thies, 5 from me, and we will try to explain why actually they work. We will also share tools you need for each of these strategies, for each of them. We will also explain workflows, playbooks, on how to adopt these strategies and share our best templates, our best practices, so you can kind of copy, paste, customize, and then get started as soon as possible. Maybe even today after the webinar. So, all right, let's get started. And Thies, you will get started with your 5 strategies.
Indeed. Let me share the screen so I can kind of control.
Yep.
Awesome. Here we go. You can see my screen?
Sure. Yep.
Awesome. So happy to kick this off with the first one. LinkedIn keywords. You can call them keywords. You can call them hashtags. Whatever you kind of want. You'll see that I'm quite fond of LinkedIn. It's a great platform in my opinion. It's almost only for free. You can use it for many things, but let's focus on the first one, and that's going to be LinkedIn keywords. What I've found, especially like I'm not a sales leader just yet, let's say, that kind of making your own posts can sometimes be very hard to get engagement on, and everyone is searching for engagement. So try to give them that. Search for a keyword that's very close to what your product is or what you are kind of solving within the space, and engage on different posts that people are doing so. So a good example here is, for example, I search on ABM, because with Leadfeeder we're getting more and more into kind of the ABM's atmosphere and kind of strategies as well. And I'll just engage with the post that someone made. It could be someone with lots of followers, someone with almost no followers. And I prefer to kind of do it with kind of the smaller ones, I would say, because there's much more chance that you'll get noticed and kind of have a real conversation. Engaging in posts is not just, oh, this is great or something like that. Try to really add value into the conversation. What I then do is try to kind of follow up with a connection request and kind of go from there. Here, a quick example, for example, if we would take that example from ABM, where we could go and say, okay, loved your posts, kind of trying to kind of, first of all, be personal with your invitation. But on top of that, what I always try to kind of do or leverage is maybe asking them some kind of question where there's lots of discussion around. For example, within the ABM's, like ABM, by the way, is account-based marketing. So within that kind of strategy, there's been some discussion of should account-based marketing ever get to scale, and it's kind of everyone has an opinion on that. So I try to kind of pull them in with kind of a quick question, and hopefully with that they'll accept my connection at the minimum, or even just answer that right away, because we've already kind of been talking a bit. Nonetheless, I never assume that I'll get an acceptation and or a reply. So I'll always make sure that we have proper follow-ups in place, such as, for example, within 48 to 2 hours, you can kind of follow up and maybe go a little bit more, go in with something that's kind of more of your brand and start trying to kind of get your name out there. And with your name, I mean more so your branding and stuff like that. For example, sending in a specific blog post about ABM that's made on our website. That's been working quite well for me to kind of just engage with conversations and get us started through that. Can everyone see the slides? Because there's some kind of
Nope, you're still freezed on number 4.
you can't see the LinkedIn keywords and kind of the note. Okay, let's go back to the presentation mode. I really prefer to see it full screen, but it seems that it's not kind of moving. So let's see. Can you guys see it now? The LinkedIn keywords and kind of the invitation note and
You're on slide number 4. Okay. Like just at
still
that
on
line.
number 4.
Yep.
This is better.
Yep. Here we go.
Okay. Perfect. Sorry for that, folks. Let's recap a bit what I was saying. Well, first of all, thanks for kind of noticing that I'm kind of going through slides and not really changing. So what I was kind of saying is kind of, just to recap, is to search for the relevant keywords. LinkedIn is a great platform for that, the hashtags, and kind of going into the different posts. Here, for example, you can see that someone kind of made a post about ABM, and then we can go into that specific post, kind of see what's happening, engage with that. And a good example of a possible engagement would be kind of going into the LinkedIn keywords and kind of then sending an invitation and a follow-up email here. Some key points, and what I would say is try to make it personalized, like I said, maybe ask a question, and then go into more so giving value, but through your brand, so that they start recognizing you and your company as an authority in the space. And as a last sentence you see there, what do you think of it? Interested in chatting more. And that specific interested in chatting more is something really kind of a fun thing to hone into. I think I've even learned it from William first to kind of really start using the word interested. Then like within the same month, I came along a blog post. I think it was from Gong that did like a full research on conversions, and asking for interests had double the conversions versus kind of just trying to push for a call or something else. William, I know you have strong opinions on that as well. I don't know. Can you maybe recap for the people what kind of experience you had?
Yes, I agree. I do love these soft CTAs. Usually, I just we actually A/B test things like this, and typically soft CTAs generates more positive responses and meetings booked. That's for sure. Yeah, love this approach.
Nice. I'm going to try another time the present mode, because I think it's much better visually. I think it's going good now, but let's see. So I'll give you a few more seconds to kind of double check what I was writing here in the template. To be honest, the template is not anything spectacular. It's kind of just honing in on what we see within the conversation happening and making it personalized based on what's happening within that conversation on LinkedIn. If you see that they accept your request, they start learning, reading your emails, going to the website or something like of the source, then of course it's a good time to kind of double down and go to a full multi-channel cadence, I would say. Always try to kind of be soft on the first outreaches if you're coming from social though. I've learned that from Deepak, from my manager. Like, social selling is all about not selling on the platform itself, but trying to pull away from the social platform and kind of trying to sell more to other means. Second one. So the second option I would like to kind of jump into is social forums. You could say that LinkedIn is a social forum, but I want to kind of go a bit broader. And Quora, I would say, is one of the best examples. Reddit could be a good one as well, but Reddit is a very specific community, and you need to be kind of a little bit more thoughtful about your approach there, because they really dislike salespeople in general, I would say. Quora, however, I found that there's lots of people looking for people to help them, and as a salesperson, or as a marketing person, or however you see yourself, we're there to help people solve their problems, their needs. So go to Quora. You have a lot of different kind of segments within that, and within those segments you can find the specific areas that you think you can kind of add the most value. For me, for example, that could be B2B lead generation, as we at Leadfeeder are a B2B lead generation platform, and kind of just go into the different questions they have. Again, adding value there. And then what I like to do is pull them away from that form, try to kind of go multi-channel as fast as possible, so we're not stuck within a forum that's really hard to convert. So I'll probably follow up with them on LinkedIn, because that's kind of a really light touch. If the platform allows it, you can always DM them, direct message them as well. And then again, try to keep them engaged with content that you have branded and that could be of interest of them as well. If they react well to that, and you see there's interest from that point, then again, we can go into the more sales heavy approach. And with sales heavy, I mean pushing for a demo, for a call, for a trial, whatever your call to action normally is. I only try to push that specific call to action after I've soft touched them, like William was saying. That's something that I really prefer. The third one, and that's something that I, of course, can talk to you guys about like quite a long time. Website visitor tracking, for the people that don't know it, Leadfeeder is a website visitor tracking software. But basically what do we do is we do IP identification. So someone comes to the website and we can identify, even if they don't leave any details, which company is behind that. And that's, of course, quite interesting, because, well, within sales, timing is quite important. And timing is quite important because if there's no problem, if there's no need, it's always going to be almost an impossible sell. And that's kind of a gap that we're trying to close with website visitor software, and trying to see, okay, which companies are engaging with our website already. Could be a specific blog post, could be even your pricing page or your landing pages, which is, of course, even better, I would say, and going from there. Depending on which kind of pages you see them kind of engaging with, your approach will differ a lot. I always kind of say, okay, match the intensity to what they are doing. If they're just browsing blog posts, well, they're probably just trying to educate them on several topics. So then I try to help with that education. If they're more so going to the pricing page or maybe your help center, well, then they're in research mode of that specific product. Well, then I'll help with that research and kind of go from there. A quick example would be if they have gone to your blog post, portion of your website, you see them engage with a specific piece of content. Try to find relevant content. It can even be from other kind of companies. I've seen that sometimes that even creates more trust, because you're not only linking things from your own. So I try to combine sometimes 2 different resources or 3 different resources as well, especially when I see there's engagement, and go from there. So through that, we can kind of go into that. Of course, with website visitors, you need to kind of do a little bit of your research yourself. We only know which company it is, so you need to search decision-making units and stuff like that. But to be honest, you know who you want to talk to within a company. You know who the decision-making units are. So focus on those. Focus on the people that are going to kind of help you get that conversation to the right direction. And you'll be well on your way to have really good conversations, and hopefully that will end up with some good deals. William, anything to add here? I know you guys are using IP identification software as well.
Yes, this is also one of our most successful strategies so far for outbound and even for inbound as well, in middlebound too. Also, we use it not just for sales and SDRs, but for partnerships. We can kind of identify companies that visit our partnership pages, and we use it for business development too. So tons of possibilities with tracking different pages. And my biggest no here is to do not mention the reason for outreach, something like, hey, I noticed that you kind of visited our website and did this and this, X and Y. So yeah, you should be very careful with reason for outreach in this particular case. That's yeah.
It's tempting to just say that, but that's kind of like there's a saying, use the information, not abuse the information. And that's kind of where I think that falls under. You can use the information, use the insights, but if you say outright why you're reaching out, then you're kind of abusing that information, I would say. Okay, to go to the fourth one, and I see that we're getting lots of questions. Please fill in them within the Q&A, and we'll try to handle all of them at the end of the webinar. That will be a little bit more structured, I think. So there's a portion for Q&A. Please add them there, and then we'll do our best to kind of really add in the end of the webinar to answer them all and get some answers for you guys. Okay. So the fourth one is kind of similar, let's say, as the first one I did on the keywords, but here we're kind of using influencers and piggybacking on top of that. I'm not a copy person. I don't really like writing, so I have a really hard time making posts on LinkedIn. It's something that I need to work on. But I still need to work on it. That's a totally different subject. But nonetheless, while we're working on that and while we're kind of expanding our network, try to piggyback on top of influencers who already did everything that you want to do and kind of are creating value for lots of people. What I mean with that is follow a specific person. Like if it's an influencer, don't send connection requests. They'll not go ahead with that. So just follow them and try to engage with their content as early as possible when they post. Why? Well, the earlier you engage with it, the more chances you'll have that people will see that specific message and even go to your profile. Again, don't engage with, oh, this is a gay post. Try to add your own flavor on it. Try to go into kind of the specific questions that they're asking or kind of the points they are making and go from there. Once you're doing that, try to keep engaging with other people who are engaging with the post as well, because those are the people that we're going to target. Those are the ones that, first of all, that we know are active on LinkedIn. So it will be really easy to do our first touches as well. Like it's always great to find great companies, and then you start looking on LinkedIn, and then you see they have a profile on LinkedIn, but maybe no profile picture, like 10 connections. Then, you know, like if I send a connection request to that specific person, I'm not going to get any response. But if you're focusing on people who are engaging with posts on LinkedIn, there's a really high chance if you then engage with their profiles, then send a connection request to them and kind of start going into the conversations they were having within that post, but then on a personal level, there's a good chance that they will accept that and go into that. Once they accept that request, again, we can go into the multi-channel kind of outreach. What I mean with that is try to kind of combine email, social, calling sometimes even, to kind of really push our narrative. Of course, again, they're just engaging with content, so try to again match that intensity. We're going to share value, give first, ask later, and then kind of build a relationship on top of that. In the end, sales is just having conversations and talking to people. So don't forget that, and don't just send a connection request with your calendar link or something like that. That's too pushy, too direct most of the time. Okay. And as a last one that I wanted to kind of go into, and this one I really like, and it can apply to lots of people. Like it's good for outbound, but it's good for inbound people, in my opinion, as well. Trying to reactivate some deals or kind of make a difference. What I like to do is I really like to track the people who have switched jobs or have gone through an internal promotion. Why? Whenever that is happening, there's two things that have a high possibility. One, if there's, especially if they're switching jobs, then there's new budgets that kind of have opened up. Like if you hire, for example, a sales manager, then there should be kind of a budget for that sales manager as well to kind of prove his value. So that's the first thing. Secondly, when someone has a new job or has gone through an internal promotion, well, they want to make impact. So yeah, there's nothing like if you're a new sales manager, you want to make your own stamp. So if you can help them with that, go into that specific conversation. Of course, again, timing here can sometimes be difficult. I've noticed, for example, if you see them, for example, they change their job within LinkedIn and everyone is congratulating them, they get lots of messages, and they're probably going through a heck of a time already, kind of transitioning and doing all that. What I'll do is, of course, I'll be there as well. I'll congratulate them. But then after 2 to 3 weeks, I'll reach out to them and kind of be, oh, hope you have settled down quite well within your new job, XYZ. Maybe it's a good time to kind of reconnect. If they already bought your product or used the product within another company, then of course that's a really easy kind of connection to make. If it's more so a company, so for example, I have a company now, a pretty big SaaS company, and they started this trial with Leadfeeder. It didn't end up going through because they couldn't find the budget for it, let's say. And suddenly I saw someone from my network go from just a data analyst to director of data. Well, that's amazing. So I reached out to them, congratulated them, and 2-3 weeks later, I kind of messaged them and say, oh, what kind of new responsibilities are you looking at? What are kind of your short and your long term goals? So exciting for you, etc., etc. And he's very excited. So he just started sharing everything that he wants to do. And then I just needed to piggyback on top of that and kind of outline, oh, you're trying to do this and this and that. Try to add value, even like not attached to your product, but try to kind of combine different tips or things that you know. And suddenly 2 weeks later, he was on a new trial at Leadfeeder, and hopefully he was going to come back to me today or tomorrow. So fingers crossed all, and we'll see if that specific one will work out. But nonetheless, that's just one example. There's many ways of kind of doing this and kind of getting success out of that. So those were like my 5 ones. William, I'm not going to spoil the next one, but we have one poll that we were planning to do. So I would love to kind of hear if you guys are using any of these strategies already, and if you're doing so, tell me which one in the chat. That's going to be quite nice. Quite nice. To hear.
Let's discuss these 5 strategies. Personally, the last one is super cool. Personally, we haven't implemented it yet, but it's our next big thing, because sounds like this particular strategy, number 5, might be the biggest new like playbook that can generate lots of demos for teams. You can use tools like UserGams and Sieve Data plus LinkedIn tracking. There is filters that allows you to track job changes.
Yeah, if you have LinkedIn Sales Navigator, you can kind of just create a list for yourself. Of course, that's again a paid service. What I did in my previous job, where I was kind of on a budget, let's say, I just had an Excel sheet of the best kind of all my champions, and I just went through it once a month. I know it's not perfect, but sometimes you just need to do what you have, and if you can show your sales manager, your leadership team, okay, I've tried this in the budget way, and like this is the XYZ result, and I think they'll happily try to get you some budget to make it more scalable. I don't know what you think about that, William.
Yeah, cool. So yeah, we have poll results, and it sounds like 60% of us have tried a few of these strategies, and 40% haven't tried nothing yet. But yeah, we can do this. So basically, they like LinkedIn, job changes, website tracking, job promotions, almost everything. Yeah, cool.
Nice,
So
nice.
yeah, nice. Yeah,
let's keep the momentum. I'll stop sharing, William, and go ahead and go into your 5 ones. I'm excited to hear more.
Yeah, let's go. Yeah, let me share my screen too. All right, so
perfect.
Let's get started. So strategy number 6 is technographic intent. As for me, this one is quite easy to implement right now because there are tons of tools that allow you kind of track specific technologies you need and like build a list of accounts, targeted accounts for your cold outreach. So how we usually use it? There are 2 types of sequences we can rely on here. First of all, for example, let's imagine you have a web development agency focused on Shopify. So you can, instead of focusing on all e-commerce stores or e-commerce platforms out there, you can just download the list of accounts that use Shopify specifically and be super targeted. And you can use it information in your template. So that's how you can be relevant at scale. Or for example, your software development agency focused on Java development. So instead of focusing on broad number of accounts, you can just find out which accounts kind of use Java as their programming language. So there is no guessing, and you can be kind of personalized and use that as your value proposition, basically. So to use these, there are tons of extensions. My favorite ones are What Runs and Wapalizer. You can open their website, open that extension, and see what technologies they use. Another example here is our use case. Basically, we can get in touch with companies that use specific technologies Reply as a platform integrates with. For example, Reply has integrations with HubSpot, Salesforce, Close, Pipedrive. So we can actually find out what companies use HubSpot as their CRM and get in touch with them. So instead of having just ICP-based list, we will add a new layer, technographics intent, to our ICP, and that's how we can be relevant and scalable. And we basically say something like this: hey, I did some research on your company's website and noticed that you use Salesforce as your CRM, as a part of your tech stack. So basically, want to chat more about how we can help you integrate both systems and get better results, stuff like this. And it helps, and it typically generates higher responses in comparison to our typical outbound sequences. So here you can use, as I mentioned, What Runs, Wapalizer, Built With, ZoomInfo, Similar Tech, Uplead, a bunch of other tools that can help you build a list of accounts with specific technologies. Hiring intent is another great strategy for me. Here's how it works. It's not the same as these mentioned. Instead of monitoring champions or influencers, you can kind of track accounts that currently hiring new employees or specific job titles. So in our case, we want to get in touch with companies that currently are hiring SDRs and NAEs. So our SDRs can monitor different job boards and see when there are some new job openings. For example, we can go to jobs, then find out accounts that currently are hiring sales development representatives. And then we go to LinkedIn Sales Navigator. Then we kind of add decision makers, let's say a piece of sales, SDR leaders, and then we can add as many companies as we want. For example, GitLab, then we can add a few more, for example. let's say, what else? Adobe, right? We can add company name here, and we will have a list of decision makers, and we can use that information as a reason for our outreach. So we will say something like, so that's how we track these job openings, the job posts on Glassdoor and LinkedIn. And then we will say something like, hey, I'm reaching out to you because I've been viewing Adobe's LinkedIn profile, and I noticed that you're hiring and we have a custom variable job openings title, and we add something custom here for every single account in our list. Like for Adobe, we'll say, notice you're hiring 5 new SDR. For GitLab, we might say, I noticed that you're hiring like dozens of SDRs right now. And like it could be something customized and personalized. So it sounds like it's a good chance for us to chat about your sales development priorities, stuff like this. And it works better than a regular outbound sequence, that's for sure. For this particular playbook, you definitely need a few job boards like LinkedIn, Indeed, Glassdoor, Angelis for SaaS companies, computer software companies, ZoomInfo for tracking hiring signals too. So yeah, and then you can just have, again, you can have a list of accounts that are more likely to engage with you because they are growing, they are in the growth mode. So there is a chance they need your tool. For example, if you're a sales, I don't know, if you're again, web development agency, and you see that they are extensively hiring software engineers. So it's a great chance for you to offer your services because there is a chance they still need lots of product development, software development, stuff like this. So it's quite relevant for them, might be quite relevant for them right now. Personalized images. I love talking about this topic because we started using personalized images almost 4 years ago, and we still rely on this strategy. And basically, you can implement personalized images for any strategies playbooks we mentioned before. You can basically incorporate it. Here's how it works. We use bunch of tools to generate personalized images for every single prospect in our list. So we add like their company logo, their logo primary color as a background. We add company name. We can add their avatars, their job title sometimes. And as a result, when we send our emails, we just inject this personalized image into our cold email template. And it helps us generate higher reply rates. Why? Probably because we love visuals, and we can quickly scan the whole image and the whole picture and actually realize like the value proposition faster than reading 100 words. And yeah, so in this case, we try to keep our cold emails as short as possible while inject this personalized image. And typically it helps us generate approximately, like I would say 60–70% more positive responses, like in comparison to just a regular cold outreach sequence with no image. For this particular playbook, you can use tools like HighPrice. This is my favorite one. You can use NextWave. You can use Bannerbeer. They have APIs, so you can kind of use different variables like first name, logo, website, company name, job title as variables, and then simply add to your sales engagement platform as a part of sequence. Outbound referral sequence. This one I have shared recently on my LinkedIn page. Here's how it works. Our SDRs can get in touch with entry-level employees from a list of targeted accounts, and there will be we will have like thousands of potential leads in this sequence, because it's easier to find their emails, it's easier to get a response. So we actually use two filters: seniority level, entry level, function. In our case, it's sales, business development, sometimes marketing, recruiting. So we just download the list of potential prospects from this search, and then we add them to our outbound referral sequence. And we say something like this: hey, reason for my outreach is I noticed you're an SDR at company name. Are you responsible for it? And we have something like customized here for every job title. Like if you're an SDR, we'll say sales outreach, prospecting, booking demos. If it is an AE, we will say closing deals, like upsells. And so they will see something relevant to their job title. And then we will ask, our call to action will be about like, will you and or your colleague find 15 minutes next week to explore it? Otherwise, who would be the best person to talk about sales engagement or prospecting at company name? And typically they kind of refer us to a decision maker. So once they do this, we have another sequence. We call it refer to sequence. And now we add the decision maker and say, hey, I was contacting one of your colleagues. If they ask us not to mention their name, we will skip it. If they're okay with it, we will say, hey, I was contacting one of your SDRs, full name, about opportunity of automating your sales communication, or like booking more meetings, closing more revenue. And you were suggested to be the correct contact for that. Can we chat about this? And yes, sometimes they say, yes, let's chat. Sometimes no, we're already covered, and not now, we're not in the market, stuff like this, but it works quite great for us. Tools, you will definitely need sales engagement or CRM. You will need LinkedIn or Clearbit, Cognism, ZoomInfo, Uplead for finding actually any tool that can help you filter based on seniority level, like entry level or manager or VP, a C-suite, stuff like this. And the last one, it's also great opportunity for our SDRs to kind of re-engage our CRM and book more meetings. So we every 3 months, let's say, or every 2 months, we export almost all leads or prospects from our CRM. We add some additional variables for our outreach, and then we just send them less personalized but still relevant emails, asking them, hey, something like this, hey, I'm writing in because I noticed that recently you spoke with my colleague, or recently you had a demo with us, recently we chatted about XY, but we haven't had chance to like get in touch with you. Maybe we can chat right now. And typically we can generate additional 10, 20, sometimes 30 additional meetings from this particular playbook. And reply rates are also great in this case. Yeah, I would say this is all my 5 strategies for now. So I'm curious to know your thoughts on these days. What strategies do you like, dislike?
I like all of them. There's a few that I've used before as well. I would say kind of the hiring intent. I like to link that as well together with, for example, funding rounds. That goes hand in hand. It's kind of the same signal. So like if people are hiring a lot, sometimes that means that they have gotten some kind of investment round going up as well. That all kind of points to the same kind of buyer intention, kind of having budget. I think that's really nice. What I like as well as the personalized images. I think you guys have really nailed it. I've been doing kind of a little bit of gift making myself. Like I have one email in my sequence that I sometimes use, and it's kind of a give of me kind of sharing like I can help. And I've got a lot of like really good responses just by that really simple one. So for people what can maybe like wanting to test the waters, like you can maybe just start off with something really simple. But I think what William and his team has made, and how far you guys have taken this, it's logical that this is kind of adding so much conversion rates.
Yeah.
Really nice, really nice.
Cool.
I need to try it as well.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, it's definitely a great chance to increase your reply rates, and luckily now we have like tools like High Price, Banner Beater, so it's easier to kind of implement this strategy. Another thing about hiring intent, you mentioned you like this strategy. If you don't like actually track specific job titles, hiring like job openings for specific job titles, you can use account filter on your sales navigator, department headcount growth, and then you can choose, let's say, I don't know, business development, and then if they kind of have a growth from 20 to 100%, more than 20%, you can get a list of accounts that have a high growth rate on this particular department. So it might be easier for you. Maybe
if the team goes, then they'll probably need some extra things. So especially like if you're talking about, for example, about a CRM, a sales engagement platform, or something of the sorts, the bigger the team becomes, the bigger the budget, the bigger the problems sometimes as well will happen. With everything at scale.
Cool. Yeah, great. What about re-engagement? Re-engage your CRM. Do you use something like this at Leadfeeder?
Yeah, well, the funny thing is I'm just in the process of building out the full cadence of re-engaging our CRM. We of course do this already, but we want to be more strategic with this. So we're now, what I'm now doing is every time someone comes back to the website that we have in the CRM system, I'm launching them a new email campaign. So this is kind of it's kind of the same what you do. Like you can do it every 3 months, every 6 months. But what I now like to do is not only do every 3 or 6 months, but try to do it when they show you that there's kind of maybe a better time now. So it's basically re-engaging your CRM together with maybe any of the signals that we kind of noticed within the few strategies that we gone. If you're, for example, your accounts, if they suddenly start hiring a lot more, well, probably a good time to re-engage with them. If they start kind of showing up on one of your tracking tools, well, probably a good time. If you see that one of your accounts installed a new tool, well, then probably there's maybe indeed again budgets that kind of opened up for tools, and kind of they're looking at kind of changes. So those are all things that we can of course kind of use. And re-engaging your CRM, kind of constantly using it as much as possible is very logical. If you already put in the time and the effort and kind of done all the research work, which sometimes takes a lot of time. So it's something that everyone needs to do, in my opinion.
Cool. Yeah, cool. So you would suggest to be more strategic with the approach. Agree. Yeah, again, that's something to
especially if you have a pretty big database. Like it's all depending. Like we have the luxury, let's say, to have a quite big database, because our lifetime value of a client is maybe a little bit less than, for example, other kind of industries. So I think it's depending on that as well. Like if you have a very fast moving industry product that's not maybe of a huge value, I think that we need to be more strategic. If you of course sell more so to very big enterprises and you only have 200 accounts to sell to, well, then you'll probably need to do it every 2 months anyway, like even if they are not engaging. So it of course needs to be adjusted to kind of your industry and your feeling, but there's a lot of to unpack there.
Yeah, great, gotcha. Okay, so we had our second poll. We will ask you about, have you tried any of these strategies before? And in this particular case, we have like 50-50, almost 50-50. What strategies have you tried? Let's see in the chat. What strategies have you tried?
Yeah, the ones that you tried maybe, and the ones that you're most looking forward to maybe retrying or trying for the first time. So that could be really great as well. So if you're happy to share, do so in the chat. That would be lovely. Sorry, good hiring post.
Hiring post. Yeah. Nice. Cool. Try a referral one. All right, cool.
Yeah, it's been outlined quite well by you, William, the referral one. So they literally have a step-by-step system. So that's really good.
Hiring post. Yeah, for hiring, I do also have a playbook for hiring. Yeah, so it's G2 track for intent on competitors. Yeah, great example. It's all about dark funnel prospecting. All right. Okay, then let's move on. Let's move to the next part of our conversation, and I will.
You can go to the next slide. It's okay.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Let's do this. Okay. Yep.
Nice. So I always like to recap a bit what we've been saying, kind of maybe give you guys some general pointers whenever we're doing any kind of strategy. You maybe noticed, but I'm really of the opinion that we need to lead with value, and there's a lot of spam and a lot of people kind of doing kind of outbound in a very aggressive manner, and because of that, people don't always like outbound salespeople and outbound efforts because they've been put into a bad kind of spotlight sometimes. So we need to try to change that narrative, and in my opinion, the easiest way to do so is to lead by example and lead with value. I very much try to kind of do a give first, ask later mentality. If I see anything happening there, try to add something that helps within their day, try to start conversations, try to kind of not just push your product, because like there's going to be a very low percentage that's going to be very receptive of that from the get-go. Well, if you first brand to them and then try to sell to them, even if then the second part doesn't work, the selling part, you still have branded to them. So then you'll have that in your back pocket maybe for later on as well. So then you've made a good impression, they know your brand, and then when it becomes a good time, they'll maybe reach out to you instead of you always needing to reach out to them. And I think including a why is something that's helpful as well. If you think back to kind of, for example, let's say your parents saying that you need to do X, Y, Z, and they just say why, like a lot of kids just like why do I need to do that? Like it's very human to want to know the why. So why are you reaching out to me? Try to make it clear for them why you are picking them, and that's a part of personalization, I think, because personalization is not just adding their name or their company name. That's a really small part of the personalization. I think if you add a why you're reaching out to them, that kind of lets them kind of accept, okay, that's why I'm being targeted. Does that make sense? Am I basically a good profile for them, yes or no? We already went to the ask for interest and a part, but to recap, there's a lot of proof that asking for interest, having more so a soft kind of call to action, is converting better than doing a hard conversion. Of course, I'll probably in a sales cadence, let's say 1/3 will be creating value, 1/3 will be kind of soft touches and kind of trying to just start conversations. And then the last third will be a little bit more direct and kind of trying to kind of making sure that we're not leaving anything on the table. So I'm not saying that you can never ask for a call, but I think there's a time and place for everything. And I like to kind of make a build up and try to kind of first brand to them, then try to do a soft call to action, and then end with more so direct questions, direct feedback that you're asking, because every person is different and everyone will answer, kind of react a little bit different. So try to kind of test it all, and that goes hand in hand with multi-channel. Being multi-channel, which means you're not only using email, you're not only using social, you're not only using call, but you're combining all things together, will give you the best conversion rate. Why is that? Well, basically you can't know which channel they prefer. Okay, it can be that you see them engaging on LinkedIn and you try to engage with them on LinkedIn as well. but they don't answer, and you email them, and they will answer through email maybe. Or maybe you need to call them because they had a very busy week and they forgot about your email, or they just don't answer emails from strangers. But sometimes if you call them, you can kind of break through that initial barrier that they have. Of course, everything takes time, especially if you think, for example, about calling. You know that some people are not always that fond of calling, because it's a hard thing, especially with a lot of people working from home. Sometimes you're not getting too much connects, etc. Again, I think if you preheat your calls with leading with value, etc., you'll have a better time connecting with them. And whenever you connect with them, the conversation will be much easier as well. I hate it as a junior salesperson. I kind of, in my first jobs, I just got a list of companies and I just needed to dial. A glorified call center I was basically. But once I kind of changed that, I kind of send them an email first with kind of a piece of content and then call them afterwards. I could refer back to that. I can kind of start an easier conversation instead of kind of out of the blue. I could say, oh, I'm calling from XYZ. I send you, let's say, a sales cadence template. Have you been able to use it? Like it's a really easy question. Everyone can answer that. It's totally not salesy at all. You're trying to add value there. And then as a last point is track everything, because what we're saying here today can apply to you 100%, but I'm 100% sure that there's going to be a lot of people that can say, no, that's not true. I noticed XYZ. And I'm not going to say that we know everything, not at all. The only thing that I know is if you track something that you can improve it, and you can go into that. And William has a little bit more thoughts about that. So I'll hand it to him to kind of tell him how they track things and kind of what to kind of track.
Yeah, thanks. Totally agree with your points here, especially on why. So basically, yeah, when you know why you get in touch with them, you can use that information as a reason for outreach and actually use it as a sentence for your template. Reason for my outreach is that I noticed you're hiring new SDRs. You you just changed your job or something like this. Just maybe you can be more creative than right now. But yeah, it can be your reason for outreach, and probably it should be. So now let's talk about track and improve. So today we shared 10, I guess, great strategies with you, 10 playbooks with you. And it's now when you probably, when you give it a try next week, next month, you probably want to kind of track these results. You will probably try most of them, and you should be very strategic about it. You should track all the strategies, because some of them may work for you, some of them may not help you at all. And so at this point, you need to kind of analyze your open rates, your reply rates used for this, a sales engagement platform or CRM, A/B test everything, subject lines, your templates, call to actions, as Thies mentioned, super cool inside here, use like soft CTAs and more formal and direct CTAs, because all people are different. Some of them kind of likes to be polite. Some of us likes to be more direct. So yeah, and then take into account different channels like emails, phone calls, LinkedIn touches. So and what Thies also mentioned, if you can measure it, you can improve it. So so I would suggest you to give a try to majority of these strategies, then figure out top 3, top 5, and implement them as a part of your playbook, as a part of your daily routine. You don't need all of them, maybe 2, 3, 4, and I think this will help you get like additional meetings. That's for sure. All right, that's it from us. We have the last poll for you, the last question. Let's see, what strategies did you like the most? What is the most appealing for you? It's going to be awesome to know. Probably we will need, I don't know, more detailed webinars, more detailed playbooks, templates, whatever it is.
Indeed.
By the way, what do you think? What are the most
Like in my opinion, the personalized images is something that for me was kind of the biggest learning point, I would say, or kind of something that I've not seen a lot of companies take that far. Like it's in the concept itself is really great, but the way you've implemented it, which is of course always kind of the big thing, that's what I really like, and kind of going very, very personalized, and even kind of figuring out how to do it some sort of way at scale, or like at small scale maybe, but like still having it like there's tools now out there, like you said, William, and stuff like that, to kind of make sure that that's going quite well. Let's see.
Right. I'm not sure. Have we started our poll?
Yes, we just got the results in, and it seems like a lot of people are kind of into the personalized images as well. I think.
Personalized images. Okay.
Yes. Almost 50% kind of recognize that as one of their most liked ones, and then we have the tech promotion job switches as a somewhat close second, let's say, and then
job changes.
Kind of, yes, indeed.
Oh yeah. I guess that's cool.
Yeah, that's something that you said, William, that you want to get into as well. Yeah, so I think it's really nice to see that. Like I'm going to take something from you, William, and kind of get back to the team, and vice versa. And I think both kind of like and our participants today kind of have the same idea. So keep us up to date on how you guys are kind of doing this, and like if anyone kind of come back to me and in 1, 2, or 3 months, they can tell me that they close the deal, then that would be spectacular.
Yeah, cool. So yeah, we still have 3-4 minutes. Okay, then thank you everyone for joining us. Let's stay in touch. Feel free to scan our QR codes, our LinkedIn profiles. Super happy to be a part of your network, I guess. Indeed. So, and yeah, let's answer a few more questions before we end the webinar. So let's see.
I see that.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I see that there's a few Leadfeeder questions specific.
Cool.
Don't want to be too salesy today. What I would say is, if you have specific questions about Leadfeeder, connect with me, and I'm more than happy to go very in depth into it. It's to recapitulate, Leadfeeder is kind of an IP identification tool. We kind of see which kind of companies come on the website, and we have many strategies attached to that, and kind of ways of working with that. So otherwise we'll kind of like lose all our time going into depth and do those ones. So reach out to me, and I'll be happy to kind of deep dive into that as well.
Great. What do you suggest for industries where LinkedIn usage is low? I'm not super experienced here, but I will suggest you probably company changes, company growth signals. They still have their company LinkedIn pages, I guess. LinkedIn changes, they still hiring someone, right? They still have some keywords. What else?
Yeah, there's many things, I think. What we've been doing, for example, is using direct mailing as well again. And that's been working really, really well, especially for industries who are kind of like probably people who are maybe less tech savvy or less online available. Like you're saying now, like they're not much on LinkedIn. We use Reach Desk, for example. It's a platform to kind of send direct mailings, but I've done it manually before as well, kind of just write even kind of a letter, kind of just mail it. Like it's something that no one does anymore. So if you can kind of send them a letter in the mail, like that's going to kind of disrupt a lot of what other people are doing. So maybe that's something that you can test out yourself as well. For us, direct mail has really made a huge impact. We have a really high conversion rate on people that we send it to. Of course, it's an investment, so it's kind of always kind of looking where we can use it. We use it more so for re-engaging or engaging with bigger inbound deals at this time, but you have lower kind of costs direct mailing, such as let's say just writing a letter or something like that. That is kind of possible for a lot of other people as well.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, direct messaging and direct outreach is also great opportunity. All right, sounds like we is sales now worth it for an SDR? That's it's, I would say it's still number one from majority of SDRs. Oh yeah, it's definitely worth it.
I think it's definitely worth it indeed. But if you're not getting it through the line, I would say you can still hack your way around a lot of things and use Google and kind of specific Google taglines and stuff like that to search within LinkedIn. That works still quite well. So if you use Google search in a more advanced manner, you can kind of break through some of the LinkedIn search limitations that you have when you don't have premium. So that's maybe something to kind of keep in mind as well.
Okay then. Thanks, Steve. Thanks everyone for joining us and for being with us. Super happy to have you with us. It's so great to spend 1 hour with you today. Supposed to spend 1 hour with you today, and see you soon.
Indeed. Thank you very much. All looking forward to connecting further. And William, thanks for having me, and see you soon.
Yes, bye everyone. Bye.